One thing that we know for certain is that crypto Twitter is vital to the success of an NFT project, or really any type of project that requires you grow an audience and a community. And so if you're looking to grow your business, looking to grow your NFT project as a founder, or you're a community member in a project and looking to figure out the best ways that you can grow your social following and personal brand in order to direct attention into the projects that are valuable to you, this is going to be the video for you, because we are going to unpack how NFT God, one of the big ones on crypto Twitter, gained 100,000 followers. And I am doing this video as a tribute to commemorate my joining the 1% Better Club by NFT God. I just became a founding member there, and the 1% Club is a community focused on building growth mindsets. They're looking to improve professional, personal, and creative lives through shared knowledge and support. A lot of powerhouses in this group, and the goal is to use the sub-communities in this Discord to discuss specific subjects and areas, and use these general channels to have discussions on what we're working on, how we can improve, and giving feedback to one another. And so today, I thought I would do a derivative of a derivative of a derivative tweet, and I'm going to be covering a really interesting thread written by one of the 1% Club members, Jack Sage, who has kind of taken a lot of NFT God's past posts on how he grew his following and compacted it down to what Jack Sage feels are the most important things. This is how NFT God built a powerful brand on crypto Twitter. It's how you can do it for your own NFT project, for your personal brand, or for your business, anything that you're wanting to promote. Having an active and vibrant community is only going to be a boon to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve. So Jack Sage says, if you are under 15,000 followers, do yourself a favor and spend 4 minutes reading this thread, for which tens of hours were spent on research. So big ups to Jack Sage for putting this together. Appreciate all that work. And I'm going to spend more than 4 minutes on it. You know me, I like to unpack things deeply, but we're going to look at why NFT God did the things that he did, how we can apply that. And you'll notice in our own community on my personal account and in the NF Treasure Twitter account, which is the project that our community is building, where you can print your NFTs and earn crypto through our crypto game. You'll notice that some of the things that are highlighted here as a way to skyrocket through 15,000 followers are techniques that we've been applying as well. And so this will give you a better idea of how we're attempting to grow as well by networking with other projects and with heavy hitters in the space. And of course, that's part of the reason for creating this video, is to just build goodwill with Jack Sage, with NFT God, and to highlight some of the content that's coming out of the 1% Better Club. So Jack Sage starts with a congrats to NFT God, and we will get into the 10 tips that were used by NFT God to grow his account to 15,000 followers. The first of those being, start building an audience with active NFT communities. So NFT God, after regularly tweeting in December 2021, started to engage with specific NFT communities by tagging them. And from December 29th to January 31st, in 26 of the total tweets that NFT God put out, he mentioned the Creeps Project 12 times. He mentioned Mutants or Bored Ape Yacht Club 3 times, Alien Friends 4 times. And so what is he doing? He is raising his hand, saying, hey, I'm here. I want to contribute some value to your project. I want to provide some meaningful feedback and a spotlight on your project. And of course, the ultimate you scratch my back, I scratch your back reciprocation is that they would acknowledge that, and certain members of those communities would end up engaging with his account, which then boosts the algorithm, because when you have high profile people engaging with your account, the algorithm says, maybe we should pay attention to this. So Jack Sage continues, during the first 6 months of tweeting, NFT God mentioned NFT communities 19 times in January, 22 in February, 11 in March, 27 in April, 36 in May, 13 in June. You can see over 50% of all tweets are mentioning an NFT project. And you'll notice in our own NF Treasure account, one of the reasons that we do the project reviews and the call outs, other than just thinking that projects like A Kid Called Beast and some of the other projects that we're talking about are interesting, is we're looking to engage those communities. Our project is interesting in that we really have a solution that all NFT projects on Polygon, Solana, Ethereum, or Avalanche can engage with by creating a physical product revenue loop through the NF Treasure marketplace, and then our community essentially using the Treasure Box idle game to earn to fairly distribute the revenue from those e-commerce sales. So more than other projects, we have a lot of reason to be able to highlight and connect in with other NFT projects. And it's interesting to see how this strategy works so well for NFT God early on, who, remember, is now at 100,000 followers on Twitter. So Jack Sage continues, engaging with the Creeps community got him over 150 likes on the post for the very first time. In fact, for weeks, his posts that included mentions of Creeps received hundreds of likes, while posts without these mentions only received several likes. So part of how, we're attempting to unravel the algorithm is when you are tagging higher profile accounts in your posts, and when you're engaging with subject matter that has an active, fervent community that is seeking out and searching certain hashtags or certain keywords on Twitter, that content is just going to get seen more and seen above content that is more just personal musings. And so the strategy that NFT God used was, well, let me connect with topics and projects that already have a lot of people searching them out and engaging with them on social media, so that I can kind of Trojan horse my way into those communities. And then those people will start to see some of my personal posts. If those personal posts are valuable and contributing to the conversation in a meaningful way, then people start to pay more attention to your general content. So it's like casting a wide net by connecting in with other people's content and other people's projects, and then starting to hone in on the things that are important to you. And so the wide net is making sure that you're finding all of the things in a particular category. So I guess maybe it's the reverse of that. You want to find a niche. So his niche that he was drilling into was NFTs. He was connecting with projects in that niche. And then as he became more and more popular and his voice more relevant, people started to take him seriously as his own project and as his own account. And that's where the 1% better content started to take on some traction and growth on its own. And so he parlayed all of that attention from providing meaningful commentary on these other projects into his own personal goals and project. All right. You can see one of these first tweets that got that traction was him aping in 5 Genesis Creeps. So kind of sweeping the floor on the project, also a way to get some attention and something that we will likely play around with in NF Treasure as well. Tip number 2 from Jack Sage, highlighting NFT God and our derivative, how to grow to 15,000 Twitter followers video here. Share knowledge with your targeted audience. So when you don't have many followers in the beginning, NFT God's content didn't get a lot of attention. But the content that he was doing about specific communities did. So that's kind of what we were just talking about. So to build his name, NFT God provided value to specific communities in two ways. He kept creating content about the communities that he belonged to. So remember, he swept that floor. That meant that he was an owner in that project, or a holder in that project, which meant that his content was more likely to be received by that audience because he's one of them now. It's one of the reasons that becoming a founding member of the 1% Better Club by NFT God is an interesting way to network, because you're essentially, becoming a founding member in NFT God's project. But then what does that do? It's like an access pass into a networking club where everybody has raised their hand and said, as being part of this club, I'm going to give feedback on other club members' content and do my best to promote those other accounts. And so that's what we're doing with Jack Sage right now. And we're kind of putting into action, to some extent, the things that worked for NFT God and now Jack Sage and now us in that chain. So this is how NFT God gained momentum. He shared his knowledge on how to identify projects that would make 100x. And he also engaged the Creeps community by tagging it in several posts. So we can see another example here where he's tagging a project and getting some engagement. Tip number 3 is keep joining new communities. Creeps wasn't the only community that NFT God was focused on. He joined others. You can see the list of several of those here that he tagged, and basically provided analysis and was tagging these projects in the analysis of those projects. Not every community responded, and I think this is something that when you're a beginner content creator, it can feel deflating if you're not getting a lot of likes or a lot of replies on your content, or if you tag a project that doesn't respond to something that was well thought out, or that you thought was well thought out. But the key, I think, is engaging with projects that are of a small enough size where they're still managing their own Twitter, and they can relate to where you're at. So when NFT God early on reaches out to psychedelic NFT that has 178,000 followers, and they see that he only has 1,000 followers, well, that may not be worth it. The founder of a big project may just not have enough time to check DMs like that. However, an interesting thing happens, as we saw when we bought 100,000 followers just to see what happened. Even though that was a failed experiment, one thing that we did learn is that having 100,000 followers certainly made it so that other accounts responded to us, because it just looked like we had more clout. And so having more followers organically obviously gives you way more access to higher profile people. But in the early days, you want to be engaging with projects that are at a level or early enough in their own story that they may be willing to retweet you, or at least comment back, or start to notice you and build a relationship with you as you provide more and more value to their community. And tip number 4, in addition to connecting with other creators and other projects, it's just commenting on trending issues. So NFT God started commenting on issues like the Moonbirds launch, the Other Deeds release, the Azuki drama of 2022, the Degen Tunes recovery, Seth Green losing his Bored Ape Yacht Club, the Goblin Town success. And of course, these are all things that had a lot of attention in the NFT meta. People were searching them out. People were wanting to hear everybody's hot take on it. And so finding those hot takes and having a strong opinion, as we'll see later in this list, is important. Jack goes on to say, NFT God also began creating in-depth analysis threads on successful NFT collections and appreciating them. So giving them kudos. These projects were all things that he basically called out things that he appreciated about that project or things that he thought they were doing well. So with Degen Tunes, it was their guerrilla warfare marketing strategy. With RTFKT, it was their Nike collaboration. With Chimpers NFT, they were great storytellers. With NFT Worlds, it was genius executors. When you're reaching out to projects, you want to flatter them, right? Like flattery will get you anywhere. And so you don't want to lie. You just want to find projects that you genuinely have appreciation about, and then talk openly about that appreciation and what people can learn about the things that you're appreciating about a project. Which leads us into tip 5, which is experimenting with content. NFT God was a prime example of the importance of experimentation. He started a daily news summaries. This was called Daily Alphas, but soon realized it wasn't resonating with his audience. And so this was an interesting thing that he discovered, is that just putting out kind of a breakdown of NFT market news wasn't as popular with his audience as some of his personal thoughts on why things were happening, or hot takes on some of those news stories. So he switched to writing threads based on his newsletter articles, and then further refined his approach by sharing personal insights and opinions. Analyzing other projects kept engagement around him and provided necessary feedback so that he could finally find his own writing style you can recognize today. And I think a big takeaway for me as I study a lot of people who have had kind of these explosive moves and followers is that you just start writing, and as you create content every single day, you recognize the type of content that does well and the type of content that does not do well. And you surround yourself with other people that are experimenting with content, and you learn from them, and then you experiment with the things that were working with them. That's what we're doing in this video and in this post, is taking what's worked, adding commentary, building on top of those strategies, and trying to figure out what is the unique mix of all of those different Lego pieces that's going to allow us to build our beautiful tower. So tip 6 is turn individual posts into threads and vice versa. When NFT God discovered something interesting, he wrote a post, meaning just like a single tweet, and then later would expand upon that in a thread. And then if you're a subscriber to his newsletter, would expand on some of those threads into a full newsletter. He also went in the other order, taking newsletter content, breaking it into threads, and then breaking those down into individual posts. Jack Sage says, for example, NFT God made a great comment about Goblin Town's success, which later he commented on in a thread and newsletter article. So, again, just kind of highlighting that you don't always have to post a thread. Like sometimes if you've got a hot take on something, you can quickly make a post, get it out there, and then if that post seems to have some traction and people are interested in it, then maybe that's a cue to you that you should expound upon that in a thread and or newsletter. Tip 7 is make bold statements and repeat them regardless of accuracy. That's an interesting caveat there, but that is a bold statement. And NFT God started to make bold statements based on his insights, and this made his content more personal and authentic, and polarized it, right? Like I'm adding some commentary here, but when you're making a bold content, you're basically drawing a line in the sand, and what you're saying is, this is what I believe. If you believe this, you're in my camp, and if you don't believe this, you're in another camp. But regardless, it's going to create debate and engagement. And what does the algorithm love? Engagement. Even if a bunch of people are saying nasty things in your comments, the algorithm sees that as, hey, this post has got some traction. And if your take is accurate, you should have the right number of people in your camp versus debating you. And obviously we want that debate to look healthy, and to be data driven. But when you do make these bold statements, it increases your authority towards your audience as an expert. And the more that you grow as a thought leadership, the more that people see you as somebody that is able to interpret things and provide analysis on subjects that they're interested in, well, the more that they're likely to, 1, follow you, and 2, hit that notifications bell so that they see your opinion and your insights on a more regular basis. Jack says, although not all of his predictions were right, particularly his investment thesis, they were insightful and put the topic into a different perspective, and then encouraged discussions. And so, we all learn, especially from the raucous time that crypto was at the end of 2021, we all learned a valuable lesson that, it's fine to have a hot take on something, but we want to make sure that we are phrasing things in a way that is not giving financial advice or being seen as financial advice. And I think it's been interesting to watch a lot of major crypto accounts kind of fine tune how they talk about crypto and projects, and how everything is more about the personal decisions that they're making rather than, hey, you should do this. Those are just things that you learn as you go, because you make some good calls and you make some bad calls, and then you realize, okay, I need to, as my audience grows, I have to be more and more responsible for my words. Jack Sage continues some of his theses. So these were bold statements that NFT God was making. Things like, we got to stop excusing and normalizing missed deadlines. Investing is like cows and milk. Buy as many cows as possible. Drop Discord and use Twitter instead. You can see how these are like lines in the sand where there are going to be people who disagree with this and who want to debate you. And that debate creates organic replies that ultimately boost in the algorithm, and creates conversation, right? Like ultimately community is about being in conversation, iron sharpening iron. And when we are in conversation in a healthy way where we're debating ideas, all of our ideas get sharper. Moving on to tip number 8, share your investment thesis. This is something that NFT God did early on, and that the 1% Better Club continues to discuss as a community in the members Discord. So this is a different kind of bold statement. NFT God was not afraid to share an investment thesis. He in the past has said that other deeds will dump, buying blue chip NFTs before NFT NYC. This was a take that he had on when to enter certain projects. Punks equals Da Vinci, Bored Ape Yacht Club equals a tech stock. Again, polarizing your statements, obviously is going to have detractors, but it's also going to have supporters. And in an attention economy, when you're polarized in this way, it can bring more attention to your account, which boosts presence in the algorithm. Tip number 9 is focusing on Twitter Spaces. I've seen with my own personal account, just in the last month, I hosted a couple of higher profile Twitter Spaces. I got about 1,800 followers off of hosting those spaces. And so clearly that can be a way to massively accelerate your following. At one point, NFT God started to be invited on spaces, having just about 3,000 followers by Lord Lore NFT. Who is the host of All of Us Radio. He became one of the biggest Nifty portal holders and pushed to be invited as co-host. So in April 22nd of 2022, NFT God says, I just picked up my 23rd Nifty portal, making me the 20th largest holder. And he's reaching out to the people who run this podcast. How many do I need to co-host a show? So again, he's putting his money where his mouth is, making sure that he has some skin in the game. And this allows him to kind of directly start to engage with certain people and community members because he is invested in the same communities that they're building. Finally, NFT God started hosting his own space. You can see this first one in May 10th, talking about all the NFT news of the day and what's next for Azuki. Anyone who'd like to speak will be invited on stage. I think this is another thing, is that when you're hosting your own spaces, having some subject matter that you're going to cover so that people know what to expect, having some bullet points, almost like a mini lecture that you want to get into, but then really opening up the floor for other people to contribute and take that conversation in the direction that they feel is most valuable. And then finally, tip 10 is be loud when others are silent due to fear. Making those bold statements plus having really good timing equals a banger tweet. That's how NFT God got 15,000 likes for the first time. It was his first tweet reaching 1,735 likes. It rubbed the NFT community up the wrong way because NFT God priced NFTs in USD, not ETH. So basically he said, if you price current floors in USD at the price of ETH 2 months ago, these would have been the floors. People would mortgage their house to buy at these prices 2 months ago. So basically, because NFTs were priced in ETH rather than USD, the USD price was basically a sale price compared to where it had been 2 months ago. But the ETH price looked the same, even though ETH had tumbled a little bit. And so he was basically making a bold statement that, hey, if we think about this in USD terms, like, aren't these things on sale? Like, shouldn't we be getting in? And of course, we know how that story played out, especially this past month. A lot of these projects are popping off again. So Jack says in conclusion, all of the tips above work. Just trust the process. After a successful tweet, NFT God finally changed and formed his own style. Below is his first thread in a style you may recognize from today's threads. And so this thread is kind of highlighting the early days. What did that experimentation look like? You know, how did he have to tweet in the early days before 15,000 followers versus now when he can really operate more as a thought leader? And, you know, what we see time and time again as we review all of these different influencers and what their early tweets look like compared to what they're doing now, almost always the early tweets are good morning tweets, getting that good morning energy going, building community around those good morning tweets, reaching out to other projects, putting a spotlight on those projects, putting a spotlight on other influencers, highlighting what other community members are doing, and really providing value by providing that spotlight and providing a unique insight or unpacking of content. It's what I'm attempting to do in this video. And so let me know in the comments, is this a valuable way for you to get this content? You know, one of the things before I was a big Twitter guy, I mean, I've been on Twitter since almost day one of Twitter, but my growth has always been sporadic, and I never concentrated on growing a following. And when I got into Web3, one of the things that I started to do was just read content about how people were growing online. Before that, almost all of my educational content came from blogs or from YouTube videos, and I had no idea how much valuable content lived on Twitter, especially in the form of threads. And the whole purpose for NFT threads is to take some of that content that I think completely misses a large audience that only exists on YouTube and make it available to you so that you can understand that just typing in certain keywords and the word thread into Twitter can really unpack a whole world of knowledge that, you know, we've paid a lot of consultants for the same information that's being given away for free by people like NFT God, by people like Jack Sage, and by people like all of those in the 1% Better Club. So if this content was valuable, I really hope that you'll click through in the description and follow Jack Sage for putting together this awesome thread. Jack Sage is an ex-lawyer, building decentralized culture and entertainment in Web3. Jack, thank you for putting this thread together. I look forward to connecting you more. NFT God, longtime follower, first-time caller. I really appreciate and have just enjoyed the way that you handle your Twitter account and really the challenges in your life with such grace. The 1% Better Club is a great way to network with people that are really looking to approach Web3 and beyond with a certain set of values and integrity. And so I encourage you to click down into the description, follow all of these amazing content creators. If you want to see what we're doing with NF Treasure, how you can print your NFTs and earn crypto in our idle game, you can follow the NF Treasure account. And of course, I'm John Ray, project lead for NF Treasure. I write about overcoming frustration and managing emotions in Web3. as well as hosting the NFT Threads account, where we take the top threads around NFTs and Web3 growth on Twitter. We make those available on YouTube, add some additional commentary, and bring it to you so that you can listen in the background at work, while you work out, or while you're driving. Let us know what you thought about this one. Which of these tips are you going to implement into your own community, your own project, or growing your own personal brand? Let us know in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.